Hey everybody, welcome back. Today's video is all about what I would keep if I could only use one of each category for the rest of ever. So this was a viewer idea from one of you guys. Thank you so much to, I will put your name right here. I hate to butcher these things, but so this was a great idea. Thank you so much. I had so much fun, kind of trying to figure out what I would keep and what I would use forever if it was only those things. And it was a lot harder than I thought it would be because you guys know I have so many things in these categories that I'm like, that's my favorite and that's that. And there's no having to think about it. But then other categories are so much harder because I like different things for different looks, for different occasions, for different moods. So for some of these, I just have one to tell you. And for some, I have kind of honorable mentions, but I will tell you ultimately the one that I would choose from each category. I'm just going to kind of go in order of how I apply them. And all of these products I am wearing today so that you could kind of see what they look like on my face. Now, forgive my face a little bit because I am going through some things right now. I did just post, well, I don't know when this is going up, but as I'm filming this today, I'm posting my Curology 3-month update. And we talked about some things in that video, but I will link that down below if I can remember. But I'm now trying something else. So we will see an update on that soon too also. But anyway, today let's get into this video. The first thing is primer. So let's talk about my skin real quick. I have, if you're new here, very, very oily skin. It is also blemish prone, and I typically would always love my skin to be matte. But I'm noticing lately in the past couple months or so, whenever my skin has really been freaking out, that while I want it to be matte, I'm noticing that I want my skin to be not oily, but I also don't want it to be dry, crusty matte, which is kind of what I'm getting with my skin issues. So I want something that will provide me with a little bit more hydration and also things that will make me tiny bit more luminous without being oily. So for that reason, the primer that I would choose is the Too Faced Hangover RX Replenishing Primer. This one is very moisturizing. It does make my makeup go on, that sounds really weird. It makes my makeup go on very smooth and easy and, ooh, knocking over things. And it also doesn't create the dry patches and stuff. It kind of smooths everything over. So I love it for that. This is the travel size and I am just looking at this. It looks like I'm down to maybe about right here. So I will probably be repurchasing the full size or 2 of the travel sizes. I'll have to see which one equals to a better value. But this is what I would choose for my primer. If I could choose also a second kind of targeted primer, I would choose the NYX Pore Filler, just kind of on the sides of my cheeks right here and in my forehead. But I wouldn't put that all over, so for that reason I will just choose this one. Then moving on to concealer. For me, the problem is that I have dark circles and blemishes, and if I'm only choosing one concealer, I need something that will cover up both of those things. And for me, that is the Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer. I have mine in number 10 Porcelain. There are only, I think, 4 shades of this, so that kind of sucks. But if you can find your shade in it, I highly recommend it. My one caveat to that is that my skin, I feel like this is very heavy duty. So whenever I put it on without foundation, it looks kind of startling because it's like my skin is perfectly smoothed out and even and no dark circles. And then from here down, my cheek is just it has some redness, it's normal skin, whereas this one is a little bit lighter than my skin. So I don't love it for no makeup days, but if I could only have one, I would choose this. if I could have one for no makeup days, I would definitely choose the Wet n Wild Photo Focus. I have mine in light ivory. This one is great whenever I'm not wearing foundation. It doesn't have as high of coverage, but it also doesn't look so startlingly different from my skin. So I like this one also. Foundation, I think you guys already know it. This is what I've been using for the past several months, and it is what I foresee myself using continually, at least the form. I'm really, really into powder foundation. I feel like even though liquid sometimes looks a little bit more smooth or doesn't cling to dry patches, for me the opposite seems to happen, is that the liquid seems to emphasize everything lately. So even with having some breakouts and dryness around those in addition to the surface oiliness, the powder foundation just works for me, and it is the Tarte Double Duty Beauty Confidence Creamy Powder Foundation. I have mine in light beige. I've talked about this a ton, and I actually, you can kind of see right there, I'm getting like little rings of the pan kind of starting to show up. So this has been definitely used and loved a ton. Now for setting my concealer, since I don't really have to set my whole face since I use a powder foundation, I love the Fit Me Matte and Poreless pressed powder in translucent. I use this under my eyes all the time, and this one actually also, I'm starting to see a little bit of the circle of the pan in there too. That's how much I've used it and loved it. It makes everything very silky smooth under here, but doesn't give me that ultra bright whiteness. I just don't like that. So this would be my pick for setting powder. However, if I could choose an all-over kind of face powder, in addition to that, I would choose the Laura Mercier Candle Glow Sheer Perfecting Powder. I have mine in number 1, and this is something that I've had for a while, and I used to talk about quite often. It is kind of a luminous setting powder for all over the face, so I can't use this under my eyes. It looks really bad on me. So for that reason, I wouldn't choose it if I had to choose between the two of them. But if I could have a second, I would have this one, because I like to put this all over my face on top of the powder foundation, just a light dusting, to kind of bring back that luminosity that the powder foundation takes away. So love this. It just gives a really nice healthy glow without looking like highlighter. The next 3 were fairly easy, and I feel like you will probably guess every single one of them if you're like playing along at home. The contour is the Kevyn Aucoin Medium Sculpting Powder. I talked about this in a recent video, makeup I would never throw away. This is just the perfect contour shade for me. A little bit goes a long way. I will have this for an eternity because I've barely used any of it, and it's still going strong. They have this in a lighter shade and a deeper shade as well. I would recommend this over any other contour that I've tried, just because I feel like it blends so easily, it looks so nice on the skin, and it doesn't make you look too ashy or too golden. For bronzer, this, I have 2 that I kind of go in between. One is the NARS Laguna bronzer, but I feel like it's a little bit intense for like in real life makeup, but on the screen it looks nice because it shows up more. But for like conducting my everyday life, it would be the Bare Minerals Invisible Bronze in Fair to Light. This comes in 4 shades, and this is the lightest one. So kind of something for every skin tone. This is such a silky powder. It looks great. It just kind of melts into the skin. It's kind of undetectable. It really is indivisible. It really is invisible once you put it on. But it does give you like a nice healthy bronzed glow without looking like you have like stripes of bronzer everywhere. So I love this. The highlight is the Lorac Illuminating Highlighter in Moonlight. No surprise there. This is a nice pinky shade. It's what I'm wearing today. It's very subtle, very like lit from within kind of glow. It's not too intense. I feel like if I had an office job, this would be very like work appropriate. Whereas the blinding highlight type thing, whether we like to admit it to ourselves or not, it would really not fly in like a corporate environment. Let's just be really honest about that. So this I feel like is more age appropriate and lifestyle appropriate for me. Also, it just looks really good on my skin. It doesn't emphasize pores or texture, anything like that, which I am dealing with. So this one is perfect. It does come in other shades. So if you are more of a subtle highlight type of girl, I would really, really highly recommend this. Maybe not in this shade if it's not your speed, but you know, they have champagne and kind of like more bronzy ones, I think. But I do have two others that are kind of recent to me that I really like how they look, but I haven't used them long enough to say like, yeah, those would be the absolute ones that I would bring or keep if I could only keep one out of everything. And those would be the Dandelion Twinkle and the Hourglass Ambient Strobe in Incandescent. That's my like two backups. Talking about blush, we have my palette of blushes here, and you guys saw this in that video, the makeup I would never throw away. You guys know Benefit Rockateur and these two L'Oreal blushes are my three most used blushes. But looking at these and thinking of the palette that I would keep, as much as I really, really love this Rockateur one, it is a little bit deep in tone compared to the other two, and it's very like cool. Whereas I feel like for versatility's sake, I would need to keep only the L'Oreal True Match in Baby Blossom. This one is Innocent Flush, by the way. But I would keep Baby Blossom just because it is so universally flattering on any look that I would do. I could wear this with something smoky. I could wear it with something light, something sparkly, anything. And it does look a little bit deeper. I don't know if it's really translating on camera. I feel like my blush hardly ever shows up because I don't want to pack it on, but it's a little bit more rosy on my cheeks than it looks in the pan. But this would be the one blush that I would choose. However, if I could just choose one blush formula, I would choose the L'Oreal True Match ones and just have like a ton of those. Let me talk about setting spray before I forget it. I would use the Hangover RX Too Faced Replenishing Primer and Setting Spray. I'm really liking how this, it doesn't make my skin look dewy, but it takes away the powderiness without making it look even more matte. It just kind of gives me like a nice like satin demi-matte kind of finish instead of straight up matte or straight up dewy. So this is working out really good for me. I feel like my skin has a little bit of like, you know, luminosity, but it doesn't look oily. And I've had this face on for, so it's been about 4 hours now that I've had this on, and I feel like it's looking pretty darn good. Let's do the easy ones. The eye primer would be the Ulta Nude Matte Eye Primer. This is the best in my opinion. I've tried a lot of eye primers, and a lot of them are just too like slippery for me. I really, really need one that's very tacky. And then I go in and set it with like either translucent or like a light colored eyeshadow, because my eyelids get very oily, and if I don't use this primer, it just slides around everywhere. So this is holy grail status. Eyebrows, you guys already know. Maybelline Brow Precise Fiber Volumizer in Blonde. This is holy grail. I have not found a single eyebrow product that works better for my taste ever since I found this one. And I've tried a few since then, and they have all just kind of not lived up to what I expect from this one. This is how I like my brows to look. That one's falling a little bit because I've had my hair down. But this is how I like them to look. I want them to be slightly bushy, slightly unruly, but I want them to stay where I put them, and this does that. Like, it's a kind of gel mascara type of thing, but it also has fibers in it, so it plumps them up, and this sticks like cement, and this is just the best. So there. And for mascara, you guys know this one was hard because there's several mascaras that I could have easily put in here, because all of the mascaras that I've reviewed lately that I liked, I'm still using all of them. Every single day, I'm just like, okay, let me try this one and this one and this one. I don't really use the same mascara every day in a row unless I'm testing it out to review. So what I ultimately decided on was the Flower Beauty Lash Warrior Mascara, just because it does make them look so nice and separated and defined and lengthened. And even whenever I poked myself in the eye today, I thought I was going to ruin it, and I ended up still being able to save it. So I love this mascara. Let's talk about lip products and then the palette, because this category I have several of each of them just because I'm high maintenance like that. So I have a thought process for all of these, and my thing is lipsticks and eyeshadow especially, like, you want them to go together, and you also want them to be able to give you a versatility. So you don't want to do like the same look every single day, so you want to be able to kind of change it up a little bit. Now, two lipsticks that I would have loved to choose because of their color, I didn't end up choosing because of the versatility factor. And that is number one, the Lipstick Queen Jean Queen one. Oh my gosh, I love this. It's a sheer formula though. I think that I've shown you guys this on my lips before, but I really can't remember. So I'll go ahead and swatch it here and then insert a picture of it on my lips. But I love this. But there's really no way to change the intensity of it. It pretty much is what it is since it's a sheer formula. So for that reason, I can't have that as my only one. The next one would be the Dior Addict Dior Kiss lipstick, which is this one. So this one is a little bit more mauve-y berry. This one is a little bit more red berry. And this one is the Dior Kiss one. Same thing. I freaking love it. But it doesn't have that versatility factor that I need. The next one, I could change the intensity slightly, but not quite enough because of the tone of the color. And this one is Revlon Super Lustrous in Bare Affair. It's this one because it's just kind of a nudie pink. There's not a whole lot that I can do with that other than just nudie pink. So the one that I ultimately chose was MAC's Velvet Teddy, which is what I'm wearing on my lips today. So I won't insert a swatch of that on my lips. I'll just put it right here. And that's what it looks like on my lips. So this is the one that I decided to choose that I would keep if I could only keep one out of each category. Now I chose it because it is quite opaque and creamy there, but I could kind of just like dab it on a little bit and sheer it out and have like something that almost kind of resembles this. So I like that I can do a little bit more with it. But my one problem with it is that it is still just like that. It's that tone, you know, it's like that kind of nudie, either light to deeper tone. And I really love a berry, but I just don't have a super versatile berry, so there you go, MAC Velvet Teddy. If I could choose a lip gloss, I would choose the Milani Keep It Full Lip Plumper in Prismatic Peach. Ooh, I love this. But if we're only choosing one, I would go with Velvet Teddy, begrudgingly. And then last, but certainly not least, is the eyeshadow. Now, you guys know I have a lot of small palettes that I love because a lot of the shades don't go to waste. But the bad part about that is that I don't really have one big palette that would have everything to make a ton of different looks all in one. So it made the decision extremely difficult for me. So I do have 3 runners up, and I'll tell you why I wouldn't keep those, but also why I do love them. And then we'll get to the one that I'm keeping. So first runner up is the Tartelette Tease. I do have the Flirt, which is more warm toned, which is why I didn't put that in here because warms aren't particularly my thing. I do love me a cool toned eye. So if I had to choose between those two, it would be this one. Man. It has 4 mattes, these 4 on the ends. This one is a little bit of a satin, and then this one is more of a shimmer. And for that reason, oh, I hope I don't get that on my shirt. For that reason, I wouldn't keep this one because it does have a nice gradient of light to dark, but then there's only one shimmer really for me to put on my lid, and that's just not enough versatility for me. Runner-up number 2 is the Smashbox Neutrals Cover Shot Palette. I feel like this one could be really amazing. It does have 3 mattes, which would be this one, and this one. So you've got a nice gradient there. And then all of these are shimmers. But I haven't used this enough. I've only used it a couple of times since I got it. What was it, maybe 3 weeks ago or so. So I haven't used it enough to say this would be the one that I would keep, but it does have potential. Runner-up number 3 is the Tarte Sex Kitten palette. Similar issue with this one. I love the color tones in here. It's very cool toned. It has some nice mattes in here, which is all of those. We've got light, medium, and deep, which I love. But you really only have, again, one satiny shade, one shimmer, and then this is a shimmer, but I don't really like it. So I like all the shades except for this one. But again, really only one shimmer and one kind of like satiny shade. Not enough versatility. So that brings me to the one eyeshadow palette that I would keep out of all of them. And unfortunately, it's one that you can no longer purchase. And I know that a lot of people don't like it whenever YouTubers talk about things that you can't buy anymore, but I don't subscribe to that notion because so many of us do have those items and do want to still see tutorials on them. They want to see how people use them. They want to see what people think of them, you know, whatever it is. So while it sucks that you can't buy it new, perhaps if you really, really want it, you could get it secondhand. And it is the Carli Bybel Deluxe palette. I've talked about this in several videos, several times, but it just really is that good. I feel like for it to be absolutely perfect, I would love it if it went a little bit deeper than these 2 shades, but that's the only issue that I see with this. It has perfect shades for setting all over my eye, for transition colors. It's got a lot of like shimmers that I can put on the lid. It's got the deeper colors to darken things up a little bit. So for that reason, I feel like this would be the perfect palette that I could do day to night, spring to summer to fall to winter. Like it could go everywhere in any direction. And these 2, even though they're not the darkest shades, I could still definitely deepen them up to a deeper intensity. How many times can I say deeper? To a deeper intensity than they are right here in the pan. So for that reason, that would be the one eyeshadow palette that I keep. It was tough. It was really tough. I would have also loved to say the Zodiac palette because you can still get that one. But the one thing with that one is that there is no transitions shade for me in that palette. So I do have to go into a different palette to get a transition shade, then go in with my other shades. So for that reason, I didn't choose it. So thank you again for suggesting this video. I had so much fun looking through everything and deciding. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing it and kind of having my thoughts on it, hearing my thoughts on it. That's it. I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I will catch you next time. Bye!